Hey y'all, I'm Jordyn Gruber. I'm a current collegiate dance team recruiter and a former NFL cheerleader. This is Her Table.
Now you see her.
You are magnificent!
Welcome to Her Table, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the badass women who are redefining the game. Join hosts Kate Foley and Megan Martinez as they unlock the secrets of success from the brightest female pioneers in the industry. Whether you're a young woman aspiring to break into the sports industry or a seasoned professional looking for fresh inspiration, come on and grab a seat at Her Table, where women's voices are amplified, dreams are realized, and the game is changed.
You must always have faith in yourself.
Seek out strong women to befriend, to learn from, to be inspired by.
Women need a seat at the table, and in some cases, they need to create their own table.
I'm so excited to be back at Her Table. We have an amazing guest today, Jordyn Gruber, all the way from Houston, Texas, first-time generation college student.
Amazing. Jordyn is also a four-time national champion for the Palm Squad at Texas Tech, and she later went on to become a cheerleader for the Houston Texans.
There are so many layers to her story and so many things, and we're actually going to talk diamonds and Taylor Swift today is where we're going to get into with her. So let's jump into Jordyn's story. Jordyn, I'm so excited to have you here on Her Table today. Where are you at right now? You're in Texas right now?
Yes, I am. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be talking to you. But yes, I am living in Houston, Texas right now. And yeah, it's actually getting cooler here. So I'm living for it. It's not 100 degrees for the past 70 days anymore. So,
80 degrees?
I mean, I think the high today is 95.
Yeah, she's on the West Coast like me in Phoenix.
It's 95?
Yeah, it's like 9,500. I'm telling you,
now.
I'm freezing. We're on our new set in California, and it was 60 when I left this morning to come to set, and I literally was miserable. I was like, this is cold.
I'm not a cold weather girl.
We love it.
So.
I'm like, no, pass on that one. Pass on that one.
Yeah, I'm like, I just don't sweat whenever I'm walking outside anymore. Like I still feel good, but I'm just not dripping.
It's the Texas glow. That's what I call it. The Texas glow.
Yeah.
I just glow.
It's the natural highlighter.
Yes, for sure. You just feel miserable on the inside. You're like, I'm smiling, but I'm miserable on the inside. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Well, we're so excited to have you on. We're going to start today's show because there's all things trending in NFL football, college football, and just the world in general. Mm-hmm. We had to decide today what type of day it was going to be. Was it going to be Ariana Grande or Justin Bieber? What would you pick?
So I'm a very indecisive person, so this is hard because I like to justify either side. But I think today I would choose Ariana Grande.
Okay, love it. Yeah.
Okay.
See, now we're going.
She just re-recorded her 10th year anniversary of her new album last month or something like that. So she re-released her first album. Yeah. So I'm super on Ariana Grande right now.
I love it.
Very cool.
Okay, well, you are so beautiful. Let's just throw that out there.
Stunning.
For all our viewers that want to go watch this, let's do it. But I want to just jump in with you we have women in sports on this show, and you are our first professional cheerleader, which is funny. My daughter is super into everything dance and cheer. And so I was like, Jordyn would be fantastic. You went to one of the biggest, smallest schools. I've spent a ton of time in Lubbock myself, so everyone says it's small, but it is enormous. I don't know how you guys went to school there. I would get lost trying to find which school to go to. Where are you from originally? Walk us through where you're from originally, how you ended up at Texas Tech, and then your path to NFL.
Sure. So I grew up in Pearland, Texas, which is just a little suburb outside of the big city. And I grew up dancing, but I also grew up playing competitive soccer. Okay. So I trained on the junior U.S. developmental team. I was very involved in soccer, but I was also a very competitive dancer as well. And so I went to 6A high school. So once I got up there, I had to make the decision of which way I wanted my life to go, which was a lot of pressure for a 14-year-old. But ultimately I chose to dance, and I have never looked back. I don't regret it. I danced all through high school. where I was the captain my junior and senior year on my high school dance team. And then whenever it was time to go to college, I'm actually a first generation college student. So
Oh,
none of
wow.
my parents or anyone in my family had gone to college. And so I didn't really have any influence as to where I wanted to go. But thankfully, my family is just super supportive and super awesome. Just told me, like, wherever you want to go, we'll get you there. And so I toured pretty much, and thank you. Yeah, my parents and my brother are my absolute rocks, but I toured pretty much every school in Texas. I went to LSU, Bama. I just went kind of all over because I really wanted to feel at home where I decided to go to school. And actually, the first school that I ever toured was Tech my junior year. And I went to one of the dance clinics there for the Texas Tech Pom Squad. And ever since that day, it's been an amazing journey. And I know that ultimately I was supposed to go there, and then my brother then followed me there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I went to Texas Tech for 4 years, where I was a 4-time national champion on the Pom Squad there.
Wow.
And then COVID came in my senior year, so I did not get to compete my senior year at nationals. And I'd be lying if I said I was not in the trenches from like then through the rest of 2020. But it came whenever I went back to Lubbock after I'd been out for a year. I went back to walk the stage to graduate. Again, a first-time college student. I was going to walk the stage.
Jordyn. That's kind of like, that's a have to.
Yes.
And so I was sitting with our spirit director for the, Pom Squad, cheer team, mascot, everything like that. We were sat outside at our hotel for about 3 hours, and we were just catching up on life. And she was like, out of all the people who have gone through this program, you're really one that shocked me that you didn't dance, post college. And, again, I was trying to figure out who I was outside of dance, and I wanted to be firm in that. And so, but again, graduating and not being able to find a job, there were a lot of things that went into that. But ultimately, she was like, you need to do it. I was like, you're right, I'm going to do it. And so I, worked and prepped in a shorter amount of time that I would have liked to have prepped for something. But I tried out for the Houston Texans that spring, and I made it. And then I cheered for the Houston Texans from 2021 to 2023.
Wow.
So yeah, I've kind of been all over the place, but it's been an incredible journey, and I do not regret a single part of it.
That's awesome.
So shout out to your spirit. What was your spirit coach?
Yeah,
what's her
my
name?
spirit director. Her name is Stephanie Rode.
Okay.
And then my pom coach, she is like, I owe that woman my life. Her name's Erin Alvarado, and she's just like an all-around badass. Like, she
Love
is
it.
legit. Yeah.
Love
Awesome.
it. Love
So
it.
What was like the process to try out to be on the Houston Texans? I know I've never seen the Dallas Cowboy cheerleading show. However, I know it's huge. I hear it's like taxing, and
You
it's like
have to
so
watch this.
much work. Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
drama-filled,
Whoa.
entertainment-filled.
That's up my alley. I love that.
It's like literally binge-worthy, people.
Is it binge-worthy?
But we're
Okay.
talking about the Texans. Okay, we're talking about
But we're
Texans,
talking
not the
about
Cowboys. No Cowboys, just
Yes.
Texans.
What is the tryout process like for the Texans?
For sure. So unfortunately, it's not as drama-filled as the reality TV show.
It's not made for TV. It's made for real life.
Yeah.
Okay, we're with that.
Yes. So it basically consists of a couple different rounds that are broken up. The first 2 rounds are typically virtual, so you'll get sent the link for the choreography. You have X amount of time, typically like anywhere between like 48 to 72 hours to learn it, film it, and then resubmit it. And so you do that for the first round, you do that for the second round, and then after that, you get another piece of choreography sent to you, and it's the in-person round. So you'll go, this is probably like over a 2 to 3 week span of time, and you go into the in-person round. This is the first time that you're seeing the other girls who could potentially be making the team with you, and you perform all 3 rounds of choreography. And then there's also an interview. So not only do you have to just dance throughout this process, you also have to be able to speak and interview and explain, why you want to be a part of the team, what knowledge you know about the organization that you're trying out for. And then after that, there is another cut made, and then you go to finals practices, which typically consists of about 3 to 5 nights of finals practice where there's only finalists, where typically it's about 60 people and it gets cut down to anywhere between like 30 to 36 at the end of those practices. And so you're basically just refining the choreography you've already learned. You're learning some of the signature dances. You might be asked to be interviewed again. There's just all kinds of stuff that could go into that. But yeah, so it's a pretty lengthy process, but it's about 1 to 2 months over time.
Wow.
Okay, so I want to ask you a hard question. So you said you took about like a year off before you went the pro route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was going on in your mind? Was this I'm just trying to figure my life out and I just graduated? Was this like I don't know if I can do it, I'm not sure, or like I just need a break? Because I think a lot of times the optics of cheerleading, I was a cheerleader in high school, right, is like it's just cheer, it's not really a sport. And I don't think that that's true. And I feel like nobody really wants to say that out loud, right? Of like how much goes into what goes on. Like you were actually a student athlete. Like you weren't a student and then just, you know, on Pom Squad on the side. Like you're a student athlete. What was that like in college for you? And did you ever feel like that was kind of a little bit like of a dark gray cloud hanging over? Because, you know, everyone's like, oh, especially at Texas Tech, it's like it is basketball, it is football. You guys went to like Final Four appearances while you were there. But you're doing just as much as all these male athletes that you are supporting and participating in with. How was that?
For sure. So I think that a lot of the times it can get a little controversial whenever people want to put like cheer or dance into a sport. So I don't necessarily push that category on anyone, but I think people would be lying if they didn't consider dancers and athletes or dancers and cheerleaders athletes.
Right.
And so whatever your definition of a sport may be, it doesn't deny the fact that people who do college dance or are NFL cheerleaders are athletes. It requires an insane amount of physical exertion, and a lot of the times you're doing it in either heels or boots. And so it's like, you know, the cliche saying of anything a man can do, a girl can do in heels. That's true. I'm for
it. I live for that. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. And so, yeah, I mean, it's graduating. It's funny that you mentioned the Final Four, actually, because 2019 is whenever we made that appearance. And we actually went to our college nationals in Daytona, Florida. We had just won nationals, which the tradition is to run in the ocean if you won. So we did that, found out that we made the college or the Final Four. And so our coach was like, y'all need to run directly up to your hotel room because we're about to drive 24 hours from Daytona, Florida up to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that's exactly what we did. So, you know, we were in our costume, dripping in salt water. And she was like, no, like if we want to make the first game, we got to go. And so, we were running through Daytona, throwing our stuff in a bag, trying to shower. You know, we have the teammates who are not making that bus trip, like helping pack our stuff. And we drove through the night to, you know, we were like spray tanning each other on the bus, doing our hair and makeup. And as we pulled up, the team is walking out of the hotel and we grab our palms really fast, shake them and like cheer on and go. So it's not for the faint of heart. Like you are extremely dedicated and it takes an incredible personality and just strong-willed person to be able to do that. But even though that can be pretty exhausting, graduating from college in a pandemic, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to be professionally. I didn't know if I wanted to continue dancing because, you know, there is this slight burnout, but there's such a big part of me. And I'm very rooted in my faith. And I think that if anything, that time brought me closer to God and just my purpose and what I wanted to serve. And I've always wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. I've always wanted to mentor younger girls and younger women to help them get where they want to go, because I think that ultimately, like, the truest form of love is what can you do for others, not what can you do for yourself. And so representing the organization that I gave so much to me growing up, the Houston Texans, because, you know, I grew up in the city of Houston. I saw, you know, the things they did for Hurricane Harvey or just any other major event that happened to the city. They helped bring the city together. And I knew that I wanted to be that role model for the little girl who's shaking her pom-pom on the sideline. You know, it takes more than just like the pretty hair and the pretty makeup and all those things. You know, like the team is out there in the community, you know, planting trees or going to the Boys and Girls Club and mentoring these people. So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, even though I miss dancing and I miss performing because that's in my heart, like I love the adrenaline rush it gives me. I just knew that I could not just sit still and not help people and not inspire people. And so that's kind of like what pushed me out the door to be like, you know what, I'm going to try out, I'm going to do this. And that's kind of how I moved into that.
That's amazing.
Well,
That's
you
so
graduated
cool.
from tech with I'm getting the nod. We have to say Texas Tech here. We can't just say tech because we have to be very clear.
Yes.
In marketing and management, what was the drive for you to do that? And then what was kind of your ambition, right? Like there's more to you than meets the eye. So what was the purpose in that degree? And then secondly, did you get a scholarship? Like how did that work to go to tech? Did you not get a scholarship? How does that work when you're an athlete that isn't a front and center facing athlete for such a big school?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually started out as an accounting major.
Okay, numbers. She's a numbers girl. She's not.
I am a numbers girl.
Okay.
But once I was in those classes, I was like, do I want to spend the rest of my life doing this? Probably not. So I moved over to marketing, and I had come into college with a lot of college credits already, and so that put me at graduating with 3 years time. And being a part of the Palm Squad, I knew that I wanted to come back for a senior year and just be a part of everything that program is. And so I declared my second major, which was management, and they just kind of layered on nicely. And I've just always loved marketing and just managing because I think it's very people facing. And I think that, being a dancer, you have to market yourself. And so because you're always in front of these people, and even at Tech, we had to be an ambassador for the university. It wasn't just the pretty face on the sideline or the one who could do a bunch of cool things. Like you had to go out into the community, speak to donors, represent the program well. And so that is kind of what pushed me to be a part of that program and just do all of that. And then from there, we did not get scholarships except like a certain amount of people. And if we did, it was only $1,000 a year. So $500 a semester.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
so you're telling me that you're cheering for football, you're cheering for basketball, and you are getting $500 a semester to put in just as much time. Like, let's call it what it is, Megan. She's on the sideline for the same amount of time as Patrick Mahomes is, right? Same amount of time, if not maybe more. Just going to say that out loud, people. But they didn't have scholarships that matched that level of time, energy, and commitment.
Yes, but I don't take anything for granted ever because thankfully the organization that we are a part of gave us a meal plan for a certain amount. So that also added to that. And then there are certain dance programs out there where you have to still, even though you're in college, you have to pay to be a part of it. You have to pay your way to nationals. You have to pay for your uniforms. Yes. So those people aren't even, so like the $500 to me, I'm like, okay, here are 3 books. Like, yes, thank you. But I mean, honestly, it's inspired me through, my college journey and my time in the NFL because NFL cheerleaders are also not paid very much either to, advocate for the women that are doing that because, dancing or cheerleading is a very, very underpaid industry anyways. But, a lot of the time people aren't really willing to budge on things like that. And so just, speaking on things like this and advocating for the people who are doing it now and, fighting for what they deserve. It's just always kind of been one of my passions. But dancing is, you don't really, so, jokingly, like I think my parents much rather would have preferred I went the soccer route and tried to get a scholarship that way. But, everything ended up working out. So it's
for
okay.
sure.
But,
wow.
Is that something you want to see change, Jordyn? Like, is that something you want to see, like, kind of have equal? I mean, we're all about women in sports here, right? And making an even playing field and equal opportunity and just creating a space to say, like, there could be more done here, right? Like, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying there's an opportunity for improvement when it comes to those spaces. And Texas Tech's a huge school. Yeah. Like, so to hear you say other young ladies that want to go this route, it really falls on them to be able to do it, is something that, I want to see changed, especially like beyond me, but I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I don't know.
Just across the industry, because again, like I think that I was very fortunate in the fact that Texas Tech does support the Palm Squad, and we have awesome alumni and an awesome student program that have given us so much, but then you go to a different school and, they're having to, bus different places and they can't fly or they don't get to go on these trips and all these different things. And so it's like industry wide, there needs to be this fight for, dance and these cheerleaders and student athletes to be recognized that, they're putting in just as much time as, the guys or the women athletes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice to, get a little extra support. And honestly, what helps, back to the athlete sport conversation, what helps our organization is that we fall under spirit rather than athletics. So, because a lot of the teams who are under athletics, their budget is much smaller because, you got football, you have basketball, you have baseball, you have all those things lumped in together. And so it's a very interesting thing that, dancers don't really, or cheerleaders get the same support as stuff like that. But yeah.
So you didn't want to go into accounting. The numbers game was out. What did you want to do after that?
That's a really good.
She's like, I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. So I'm also getting my MBA right now online through Texas Tech.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, back to the first generation college student thing. I was, if I'm going to be the first one, I'm going to be the first one, and I'm going to do everything.
She is setting the bar. Like, just so you know, like your family coming after you is going to be like, thanks a lot, Jordyn. You couldn't just do the regular. You had to like level up 3 times. Yep. So, setting it higher. I love it. Your brother's like, thanks, I'm just going to go to Texas Tech right now. Thanks, Jordyn. You go on.
Yes. But yeah, so once I graduated, I actually, my party trick fun fact is that I'm also a gemologist. So after my first job out of college,
please.
Yeah.
Okay, for us podcast people that don't know anything about this, what is this?
So diamonds, gems, jewels, anything like that. I'm actually accredited. So I did school for diamonds, practically.
Wait, that's so cool.
There's a school for
I've never
diamonds?
heard of this before.
Wait, what?
Yes, it's all through GIA, which is the Gemology Institute of America, I believe. I just typically call it GIA. But yeah, my first job out of college was working in the diamond industry. And so I absolutely loved it. And yeah, so I became an accredited gemologist and I can, grade diamonds, look at them, like all these things. Yeah.
I love that. That is amazing. We're like in disbelief right now.
I just can't even. So was this like a childhood thing that you were like, I loved like finding rocks, mining and that, or was this something you just kind of like fell into and were like, this is freaking awesome and I want to do it more?
The latter of that. I just fell into it. Again, it was after college. I had applied to probably 200 different jobs, and just through COVID, everyone was applying to jobs. It was madness. And I actually this company accepted me and they're like, okay, you can come, but you're just going to be a secretary right now because you don't have anything. And I was like,
no,
okay, that's fine. Like at this point, I've been trying for so long and I was like, whatever, like it's fine. Like I'll just get my foot in the door. And this was around the time that I wanted to start my master's. So I got accepted into the program and I was like, okay, in the spring, I'm going to start. And so once this company took a chance on me, basically they're like, oh, this girl, it might have a little more up her sleeves than just, being able to greet people when they walk in. And they offered me, the chance to go to school and become an accredited gemologist. And so I put my master's on hold for a semester and then I did my gemology training. And I basically became a gemologist at that company while also getting my master's and being a Texas cheerleader.
Yeah, can you touch on that?
Hold on.
What's the balance?
So just crazy. To say that whoever puts a rock on her hand, you better come correct because she's gonna know. So don't come at Jordyn sideways, anyone, because she's gonna know
can you
what
check
that
mine
is.
when I get one day? Like, can you just make sure it's like?
I'll come out there, bring my loop, make sure that everything's good.
Jordyn's gonna know where everyone has to go through Jordyn to get to us. I love it. I love it.
That's amazing. But touching on like how you had to have a full-time job while you were Houston Texans cheerleader, you're also getting your master's. Can you please go over the balance and what that's like for somebody who would love to be a cheerleader one day as well? That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is finding an organization where you feel like a family. Being a part of the Houston Texans, those girls on the team, it's a sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone's looking out for one another. Everyone has jobs. And so, you know, we're constantly checking in with one another, making sure everyone's good. You know, that's where I met some of my closest friends who, you know, are doing incredible things in their life too. And I think I juggled a lot in college as well, just being a part of different organizations, but moving over to the NFL, it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people might think like, oh yeah, they just show up on Sundays and shake their pom-poms, but they don't see the nights where you're showing up at 7 o'clock after, you know, you probably went and worked out that day. Then you've had a full day of job. If you're in school, you probably bounce a little bit of school, and then you get there at 7 o'clock and you know, stay until 11 o'clock midnight practicing, getting ready for an NFL Sunday. Then you wake up and go to work the next day. And so it can be a lot, but I think that the driving factor in that is having that sisterhood, but also just being so passionate about what you're doing, because it just helps the drive and the motivation and just wanting to, again, be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Because I knew what it was like whenever I graduated and I was in arguably the darkest place of my life to making that team, and my life just completely shifting for the better. And so just knowing that you can't have the mountaintops without going through the valleys, that's like one of my biggest things in my mind. And so I'm just always super grateful for where I'm at. And, you know, practices can get late. It can feel like, you know, the world is crumbling down on you sometimes, but it's never going to be as bad as we think. And ultimately, it's just shaping us into the people that we want to be and that God wants us to be. And so it's just all a huge blessing in itself.
As a woman, like, I mean, I face this a lot in my career, and I know Megan does too. Like, do you feel like as a woman, I mean, NFL cheerleading aside, let's talk about the gym side. Like, have you ever experienced, you know, as a woman, you're a beautiful young woman, that sometimes that you get met with an opinion of yourself based upon the optics instead of based upon the substance?
Yes, which is also something that I have struggled with. I think that it's, especially in an industry like dance or cheer, you know, we are looking at ourselves in mirrors since the time that we're 3 years old. So honestly, like, that was one of the hardest things about getting myself to try out for professional team is, you know, a little bit of imposter syndrome is like, maybe I'm not pretty enough, or maybe I'm not fit enough, or maybe, you know, I am not worthy of having that position. And so it's super easy to get in your head on stuff like that. And again, that's kind of why I want to mentor these young girls, these young women to believe in themselves when you might feel that no one else believes in you. And that's not to say that other people don't believe in you, but sometimes, you know, people are going to be on the outside waiting for you to fall or waiting for you to trip on your own feet. So, you know, having the opportunity to chase after your dreams is one of the most courageous things that you can do. And so just staying locked in on that and never letting the outside opinions get to you, I think is like one of the biggest things that has helped me throughout my time over all these things that I've juggled.
I always think that's hard too. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I oftentimes look at young women and I'm like, there's such an opportunity for every woman that is in a place that she feels she can give, right? Like, you can't give all the time. You literally can't. But when you can give, to give to the next you, what is something for you wish you had known, you know, 15, 16, 18-year-old Jordyn? What do you wish she would have known that you know now about the world of just cheer and the industry of sports?
It's a really good question. Probably that, you know, like kind of how a show like, you know, Making the Team might be portrayed. Honestly, the process of trying out and the girls that you're with are going to be your biggest supporters. I'm all about women empowerment and girls cheering on girls and all those things. And that is real life. Like, that's what those teams are. And even whenever, you know, because men are starting to make these teams as well, the people who are a part of those organizations, they don't want you to fail. You know, it's a team, it's a bond, it's all these things helping everyone grow. It's not just, you know, what might feel like a cat scratch fight trying to get to the top first. Everyone is there to lift everyone up. And so just to show myself and others more grace, because ultimately that person might be battling the same thing that you are on the inside of, am I not worthy? Am I not enough? All these different things, when ultimately, I just want the girls around me or the men around me to succeed. And they most of the time want the same exact thing. And so just slow down, be present in the moment, and realize that like everything is working out in your favor.
I love that for you.
Yeah, I know.
So
I need
sweet.
more of that. So I'm going
I
to call you
know.
Friday. And so you can give me that Friday morning.
Guys.
We can.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. Talk to me about what is like a typical NFL game day like for the cheerleaders. And right? Like
Yeah,
it is.
for sure.
Because I think that's one like question I have too is like, what does that look like? Like you guys are there at what, like you can't practice when they're practicing on the field. You can't, you kind of have to work your life around the game. So what is that day like for you?
For sure. So a part of that organization, we had mostly noon games. So there's a time that the locker room opens, and then there's a call time to be ready before going out for sound check. And in that time frame, you can either come and get ready in the locker room, from start to finish, or you can come with your makeup ready or just your hair ready. Everyone kind of has what works for them. And then, as the season progresses, everyone kind of finds their groove, and it just works in this like magical, seamless way. But yeah, so you'd show up to the stadium. That it typically opened around 6-ish, and then you had to be ready around 7:30 a.m. And that's, full hair, full makeup, you're ready to go, because we're moving out to sound check, which once you go out for sound check, it's on the field, you're running through your formations for each quarter. You might go over some things for a sideline if there's an extra, get in that game or any other thing. And then, once you've been out there probably for 30, 45 minutes and you are dripping in sweat, you've adjusted your hair and makeup, you run back into the locker room to go get ready for appearances. So you have to get re-ready again, and we would change into our appearance outfit, where we would go to appearances all around the stadium. So there's stuff outside, inside for season ticket holders. It just kind of depends. And, our coaches would just assign who's going where, and you would just, that'd be broken out into different times over a 1 to 2 hour period. And then everyone would meet back up in the locker room. Touch-ups would happen again, because again, we live in Texas, so you're probably still sweating. You would change into your game day uniform, or while everyone's running around getting dressed, they're playing our music for the game, for the performances that we're doing that week. We get dressed, we walk out, and walking out of the tunnel for any game is just one of the most incredible things to just see. Our uniform had cheerleader on the back, and you're wearing those red iconic boots. And so just hearing the heels click against that, it's just a real feeling, and you just feel the wind as you're walking out of the tunnel. And then, you go out there and you run through the first half of the game, and then you come back for a little halftime break. Unless there happens to be a halftime performer, then you stay out there, you do the halftime performance, come back, change for a little bit. Then there might be appearances during the game, so people will go to different parts of the stadium, have appearances while the game is still going on, come back down for the fourth quarter, do any appearances or performances that might be happening, and then the game's over. And then from there, we would go back into the locker room, get any critiques or hype up moments from our coach or alumni, and then you get to go home probably at, anywhere between like 3 and 4-ish, but you were there probably at 6 a.m.
So almost like a 12-hour day.
Yeah,
and
just a light 12-hour day, but not even like you have to be on. Like, okay, that's what I want to ask you to dive into the mental health aspect of this, because I know it's something I still struggle with. Megan and I talk about this a lot, especially being women in sports, is there is a, I don't want to say requirement, but there is a place where you're expected to be on. You are expected to show up and be on and be it every single time. And that, like, dance and pom's a whole nother level of fun. Like, I don't have to do any of that. But how do you juggle the mental health side? Because for me, I get worn out. Like, I'm like, we'll do this show, Jordyn, and at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see anyone. I want to. Allie's like, I'm gonna go. One of our other guys, she's like, I'm gonna go disappear for a couple of days and not wash my hair and like just wear sweats for 3 straight days.
Always being on.
Being on. How is that? Do you feel like that's something that you've had to learn to adjust to? Is it just part of your personality? And is it a real struggle for these young girls? When we talked about Bama or even at Tech, like they have to be on too. You don't just get to be a normal college student that rolls into breakfast at 8 because people are expecting to see Jordyn from the poster, not Jordyn that's Jordyn. How do you balance who is and what is takes priority?
For sure. So I also have really struggled with mental health before. So I totally understand that. And I mean, being on, that takes a lot. I consider myself an extroverted introvert. So, out in public, like I will work a room. I love interacting. I love meeting people. I love just going out. But whenever I'm home, I just, curl up into my little ball and I'm like, okay, like goodbye, everyone. I'm going to close my door. Please still enter for 5 business days. But yeah, I mean, finding the balance in that, I think it's finding a really strong support system or, going to therapy to help with stuff like that, because that's all things that have really helped me. And just also finding what works best for you and finding out your routine. So, because going from a job all day and then having, a 2-hour window to eat dinner, get ready for practice, prep for anything that you might have going on at practice that day and then go to practice, that's not really much downtime to yourself. And so, I would always just sit in my car and recline the seat all the way back and just close my eyes and meditate for little things and then just, kind of recharge and get ready to go and just remind myself why I'm doing it. Think about, who I was in 2020 and the little girl that's looking up to me. And that just, always kind of helps my mental health through that. I also like speaking for women because I also struggle with mental health because I have polycystic ovary syndrome. So a lot of times mental health and physical images and like mental, limitations can come with stuff like that. So, my health routine might look a little different than the normal person because, I've struggled with that my entire, or I guess probably since the time like midway through college. So it's just, I have learned that if I don't take care of my mental health, like my life kind of falls apart. So I'm just a super big advocate for just always taking care of your mind and your soul. It's not just about what's on the outside, the inside needs love too.
Wow.
I love it. Well, and I think it's special too, because I think so many times, we as women have the opportunity to share our own struggle, right? And how hard it actually is. Because let's just call it what it is, y'all. It's hard.
It is.
And I think especially being women in sports and in male sports, the expectation's so high. And it is, I call it the tick, tick, boom. Like you can go and then eventually it's just gonna biff. And then you're left to pick up the pieces and everyone's like, what's happening? What happened to her? What's wrong with her? And it's like, y'all, come on.
Have no idea, right.
But, for you, was it a hard transition to go from the demand for that type of lifestyle, right? The front facing lifestyle in sports? Was it a big transition to go from college to pro, or was it similar?
So it was actually very similar. My coaches at Texas Tech did a great job at preparing me for something like that because we were held to a very high standard in college. And we were reminded all the time that first and foremost, we were an ambassador for the university. Whenever you're walking around with your backpack on that says Pond Squad, people are always watching. And again, if they're not a part of your inner circle, they're probably waiting for you to trip on your step or, watch you fall and catch you in it and, hurt you in that sense. And so so the transition from there to NFL, same kind of thing. I'd have people who would stop me in the grocery store and be like, wait, I think I've seen you on game day. And I'm like, oh yeah, as I have, a messy bun on top of my head. I'm like, okay, I need to remind myself that going out in public, like I need to be a little more presentable or just even at work, everyone's like, are you excited for the game on Sunday? And I'm like, oh yeah. And so sometimes, you wish you had a little break from, that side of you into your daily life. But I also think that, I love it too. And it's all the things together. And it's, again, back to the passion and the drive and everything that's motivated me to want to be that. It's just like who I am as a person. And with marketing too, I'm always trying to market myself or market other people. So they all just kind of tie in together.
Nice. Do you have like a memorable moment or a fun story even while you were cheerleading for the Houston Texans, or even I guess I probably wouldn't say the Texas Tech Pom Squad because I think that Final Four story is like absolutely amazing. Was there something that was comparable or even something that kind of like pivoted your path or in any sense while you were at the Texans?
For sure. I actually have 3 stories that I would like to touch on.
I love it. Usually, Jordyn, we're like, no, you need to like dig a little deeper, girl. Come on. So Jordyn's like, no, I'm ready. I got it.
Again, I think it ties back to just I've learned to be so grateful throughout my life for the things that I'm in. I love to be in the present moment, and I just know that ultimately God is working on everything in my life for a specific reason, for the people that I meet or what I'm doing that day. I always like to look for the joy in things. And so, just I was trying to like think about things that would touch on different things. But I'll tie into Texas Tech. So graduating from college where it was through COVID, one of the things that a 4-year member on the team would get their framed uniform. And because we left school at spring break and never went back, I never got mine. And so, a year had passed. I would forget about it, but ultimately, I was a little sad. It was nothing against my coach or my program. It just, that was in Lubbock and I was Houston. It's 9 hour. It didn't really work out. And, it made me sad and I wish I had it. But Texas Tech actually played U of H at NRG my first, they played several years there, but whenever it was my first season as a Texans cheerleader, there was an appearance that came up and it was for the Spirit Squads coming in. And so Texas Tech and U of H were there. So I signed up and my coach for it because that's my old team and I was going to get to see my coach and all these things. And I might start crying about it now because it still makes me emotional. But my Tech Pom Squad coach was like, hey, I have your uniform. And so I was standing in my Houston Texans uniform in my current place of dance on the field, and she handed me my Texas Tech Pom Squad framed uniform. And so that for me was just like the best of both worlds, having to, wait that time. God was like, nothing can compare to the joy that I'm bringing you. You just got to kind of wait for it. And so having a moment like that, I was like, okay, I got it. Like I'll be patient. Like I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then another super cool thing that happened was we got to go to F1 in 2022.
Wow.
So
that's like an up and coming sport, by the way.
And where was it at?
Oh,
in Houston?
It was in Austin, Circuit of the Americas. Yeah. Wow. So just getting to do that and perform on a racetrack was something that I never thought.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we saw so many different people and cultures and hearing all the accents and just a sport that I never really had known about. And then getting to see something like that, I was like, whoa, this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
That's amazing.
It just keeps getting better. You're like, but wait, there's another one to try and another one to go.
Oh my gosh.
So for you, like what, I want you to touch on, because I think there's so many young women that want to get where you have been. How, and I want you to kind of dig a little deep here. How difficult was it to make the Texans? Like, what did you have to do, not only physically, but mentally to prepare for that? I mean, we were actually talking before the show about this, of how intimidating that is just for Megan and I,
right? To
be like, okay, not only are you showing up and you have to physically perform these things, but you also have to have leadership skills. You have to have communication skills. You have to have a personality that lends itself to be warm and approachable. How, when you go through that process, are there people helping you along the way? Or is it like you're just expected to know it? Like show up, do it, be it? Or do they have a process where it's like there's people internally kind of coaching you, helping you, or preparing you for that, opportunity that you might get?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of 50-50. My college program, they really helped through stuff like that, but I didn't have any connection to the Houston Texans. So, it's a little bit easier whenever you know someone on a current team, you can reach out to them, say like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
what does
give
this
me
process
the
look
tea
like?
And the real. Not what I'm seeing, but tell me, girl, what is really about to be like.
Give me the code of how I'm supposed to unlock the puzzle.
Give me I want the answers to the test before the test kind of thing. Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah. Use your network. I'm for it.
For sure. And so, that looks like just eating healthy to get your fitness levels, working out, dance practices. So, one of the best ways that I liked to prep was going on to the Houston Texans cheerleaders, either social media or their YouTube, and learning the dances that they had done and then recording myself doing it. So that way I could watch the video of myself and be like, okay, did I look like them? No. Okay, here are all the things that I can fix. Go back to the drawing board, critique those things on myself, video myself again, because each team has their own kind of style. And so, putting myself out there to learn their style before I even make the team is one of the best pieces of advice that I always give to people. But also learning anything and everything Houston Texans. So, we had a pop quiz too every single year that looked different. We had to know the year the organization started, who the founders are, what their real colors are, who is the quarterback, who's been inducted in the Hall of Fame, what position a player might be. All these different things go into prepping that as well. And then just, being knowledgeable to speak in an interview and represent yourself are just also those things. And again, because I didn't have anyone that I could be like, hey, do you have any advice that I could go to? I made a very conscious decision to be like, okay, if I make this team, because most people, it's not a super common occurrence that people make it whenever they try out the first time. And so I told myself, if I make it, I'm going to help the girl behind me because, I know what it's like to not have anyone. Mm-hmm. So every year we would have prep clinics too that you could come and learn from the current coaches and the current dancers. And I would, being on the other side of that, I would look for the people that, kind of wanted the guidance, and I'd be like, take my number, ask me anything. Like, it can be a dumb question, like, where did you order your tights? Like, anything. I was like, I did not have that, and I want you to be able to have that so you feel the most prepared. Because ultimately, yes, you might be competing against the girl who is around your same height and has the same color hair as you, but ultimately the only one standing in your way for making a team like that or any dream is just yourself. Because if you get in your own way, you can't accomplish all the things that you want to. And so just trusting yourself and believing in yourself and just knowing that if you put in the work, you are going to achieve your dream.
I say that all the time too. I don't do this for me. I do this for the next me. Mm-hmm. And it's so important to me. And I draw from that so much, because sometimes I'm like, gosh, this is so much. And I just, why do I need to share this? Why do I need to do this? Why? And then I'm like, but it's not for me. It's for the next me. So they have somewhere to go when they don't know. Mm-hmm. What for you, have you ever had a moment, obviously Texas Tech, has had its ups and downs with football. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury is an NFL coach now, and Patrick Mahomes now plays on one of the hottest teams right now, ladies and gentlemen. Before they even, I would say they're probably hotter now than when they won. Thanks to the old Swifties. Swifties.
The Swifties, okay.
I want to ask you, because I know there's a burning question out there. Are there rules against cheerleaders dating the athletes? Is it frowned upon? Is it not? Because I know that's everyone's wanting to know. Yeah. How do they get to Travis?
Are you talking about the Taylor Swift or the cheerleaders?
Taylor Swift can date whoever she wants. Like, I think Taylor Swift can tell us all to just
She can do whatever she wants.
She has her own rules. She has her own place.
She's in her own league.
Yeah, we don't even, let's be clear, Taylor, we're not saying we're in your league. Megan is not saying that. We're saying we're over here on the side just watching your show.
Definitely love.
But before we ask you about, anything Texas Tech and Patrick Mahomes, what are there rules for that? Like, are you allowed to date the athletes? Are you not allowed? I know some places are different, but in your experience, do you get like a handbook that's like, you cannot do these 10 things and that's number 9?
So, yes, in our contract, it says that cheerleaders cannot fraternize with players. And that includes, you're allowed to be, if you happen to be at an appearance together representing the organization, you have
to be nice.
Like, hello, all those things. But there are, limitations that come with that. Like if you're out in public and you recognize someone, it's best to just everyone go their separate ways. And it's not necessarily because anything might happen, because we're all human, but it's just the fact that all it takes is one person to be like, oh, that guy's a football player, snaps a picture, and you just happen to be standing next to a cheerleader, and all they were asking was like, hey, like, how was your day? Like, something as simple as that. And so they just want to keep everything separate. The organization works really hard to keep everything separate, to not create, the extra drama about stuff like that. And it's a very common question. It's like, oh, do you have such and such number? Like, I'm sure you do. Everyone, like, it's the stereotypical, like, cheerleader, football player relationship. But I look at it as, I am my own person outside of being a cheerleader, and I've worked really hard to achieve this dream. And to me, it's not even worth putting myself in a position that could cause me to lose my job, because I'm in my own self. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to represent the organization. I'm okay without having a man as like, oh yeah, this is my football player. I don't need that. I'm a cheerleader. I am Jordyn first. Like, that's my whole prerogative.
Well, I'm sure though, like, I know Kate would love to get into the tea, but has there ever been, like, there are times where athletes are sliding in the DMs and you have to kind of like
look at
hold
her.
that professional.
What are you talking about? Look at her. Of course. I'm gonna answer for her. Yes, there are. I'm gonna answer for her. Look at her. Look at this. Yes. But okay, so it happened. So what happened?
Yeah. What do you do when that happens? Fine. What do you do?
I can honestly say, for myself speaking, that it's never been for the Texans organization.
Period to that statement. She said no.
Good.
Okay, so for all the young ladies that want to go find a professional athlete man, it's in your contract. You can't do it. Just get out of line. Don't go down the path. You're making it harder for everybody else. So let's not do that. Yeah. But what she is
find
saying,
a different route if you want that as your end goal.
Yeah, but she's saying that there is someone who slid into her DMs that's not on the Texans. So, like, I'm going to let her slide on this one. But when I see Jordyn, I'm going to be like, okay, Jordyn, we're going to pull up to the team. I mean,
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I mean, we can you have to broaden your mind to just not NFL, though. So just open it up. So
we're talking NBA.
Are we talking NBA? Are we talking MLB?
I don't know.
You do know. Don't tell me you don't know. You do know. Maybe it's all. She's like, girl, it's all the above. Yeah. Why are you going to make me just pick one?
Yeah, why would you hold me to just like one team in the NFL? Like, my gosh. Good for you. I love that.
Look at her. Have you ever had in your, as we kind of go through this, obviously, sometimes it is intimidating to be a beautiful woman. And sometimes I have found in my experience that I shrink sometimes. I tend to not be my actual self because I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid of interpretation. I'm afraid of just really people. Again, everyone wants to be liked and loved, but at the same time, it's okay to not be. You don't have to like me. Just respect me is my thing. Have you ever found that you've been in a situation in your career where you have, right or wrong, withheld your true self for fear of judgment or for fear of not getting something, and then look back on it later and I always say, like, that's why I didn't get it, because I wasn't me. Have you ever been through that?
I would definitely say that. I think that whenever I still have my insecurities now, but definitely a couple years ago, just I felt very insecure. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my purpose was, just all these different things. But ultimately, I, again, wasn't myself because of it. And I've never, not that I don't care if people like me, but ultimately I know that the decisions I make are for myself and it's for my better judgment. And whether it was wrong or right, like, I have to be confident in that decision, because I'm either going to grow from it or I'm going to learn from it. And that's just the decision that I have to make. But yeah, it can be intimidating because it's like, oh, like, I don't want to wear this to come off a certain way, or I don't want to seem like too much for someone or something. But ultimately, as I learned, I'm like, no, like, I love getting dressed up. I love curling my hair. Like, I want the full glam. I live in Texas. Like, we, like, the higher the hair, the closer to God. It's like all that kind of thing. Like, I love a full glam moment. And so, but I think that if anything, like, I love proving people wrong. Yep. I love that people might look at me and they think one thing, and then I, can hold a conversation. I'm getting my master's. I have these different things that I have going on in my life. And so even though I might have shrunk myself at one point, I'm like, hold on, I'm going to be myself. And at this point, I'm just going to prove everyone wrong. And if you choose to, doubt me, I will show you who I truly am.
She's embodying my little saying that's like, doubt me. That'll be fun. Yeah. Like, keep on. That'll be fun.
I love that.
I love it. What, for you as you go in this next phase in your career and you're in school and you're a gemologist and you're just literally, I don't know what else. Well, I mean, can you make the list longer? What is one thing that you look back on in your career that what you wish you might have done differently, or an opportunity that you didn't take that you wish you would have?
I honestly don't know if I can give you something, because I'm just a firm believer in that everything that's happened to me has led me to where I am today. And, whether in the moment it was so bad or I felt so wrong, or I was like, wow, that was really not a smart decision, but okay, like, let's keep going. I know that ultimately everything is working in my favor and it's leading me to be exactly where I need to be. And so any of the decisions I might have made in the past, or anything I might have not done or done, it happened, but I moved on and I became a better person and a better representative of myself for it. And, maybe I helped someone else along the way, which is what I want to do. And so, yeah, even though there might have been some things where I should have done something different, I don't look back ever. I just keep moving forward, and I'm thankful that, I get to wake up another day and learn from it.
I said that this morning. I woke up. He's not done. So there must be something else I need to do today to get to where I need to go.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to change about the stigma around women athletes and, specifically to cheer and pom? Like what stigma is out there that you want to see change or you advocate for the next you?
We're people too. We have our bad days. We have our good days. We're normal human beings, and we can be relatable. We're not just all, prancing around constantly and just, looking dolled up and all these things, or just carrying around our pom-poms or all those things. Like, we're human beings who have careers. I have teammates who were doctorate students. I have teammates who are journalists. I have teammates who are in medical sales. Like, they are all these things outside of just being a dancer or a cheerleader. And that's amazing. I think that's ultimately that I want people to know. We're human first. We're Jordyn first, or we're just a person, not necessarily labeled a title of a dancer or a cheerleader.
Yeah. And I think that's so incredible and so special, and just something to reiterate, because I think you are more than just that cheerleader, and you're more than that. So I love that for you. I think I wanted to expand too, like, for these listeners, these young girls that are trying to get, let's say, one more professional side, like who want to become an NFL cheerleader, what are like the specific like tips and tricks that you did that you would like to tell them, give them advice when it comes to maybe like you had to learn all these different dances, all these different like choreography, if I said that right. I am not a dancer.
Yeah.
Like dial in on that, like what you had to do to really learn that and give advice to young women. But then on top of that, kind of not on the professional side, but just on being you and being yourself, what advice would you give that young girl who wants to be you? If it's like mental health, if it's like just staying true to yourself, kind of touch on that.
For sure. My first advice would be to start early, maybe like a year out, like deciding on a goal. But then again, if it's a month before tryouts and you decide that's your dream, I highly encourage anyone to go for it. But take dance classes, look in your area, or there's so many programs online. Her name is Jennifer, and she teaches a pro dance initiative that basically she's constantly uploading pro style dances for whether it's NFL or NBA or NBA, or not NBA, oh my gosh, MLB.
By the way, we just had the little slip come on here, people. I think we've deduced where her brain is. Yes, I love it.
Oh my goodness. Anyways.
She's like, Kate, shut up.
I love it.
But yeah, so just finding the people online who teach those classes or those styles, or again, like watching that specific team's videos and learning like their style of dance. And going about it that way, and just finding a routine that works for you to prep for that style. And then I highly encourage anyone to reach out to a team member who is currently on the team, which is very intimidating because you have to retry out every year. So it's not just a one time you can stay on however long, like you have to keep retrying out. And so it can be intimidating to reach out to someone who, you'll be trying out with. But I think that no one's ever going to not answer you or not help you, and if they don't, then that's probably not a program you don't want to be at, because you want the team who's a sisterhood and they're going to help you reach your goals. But just ask them, like, hey, would you be willing to meet me for coffee for 30 minutes one morning? Or do you have a phone call or anything like that? So yeah, it's just, reaching out to those people, making the networking connections so that you can help. And then as far as mental health, also having a routine for your mental health, whether that's, going on a daily walk or meditating or just whatever that looks like for you. Have a routine so that once you move forward and you go through the grueling process, you already have a set thing. And so that way you can just keep amplifying it throughout the season once you're already a part of the team.
Did you find when you were trying out, did you find like you needed to have a balance, right? Like I, in my field, like you go in and you present and then it's still based on someone picking you, right? Like you're still being chosen. And, one of the things I find for myself, I always want to just get better at is going in there without the expectation or requirement of being chosen, but more about just taking the opportunity and what comes. It's like that, what Kendall Jenner says, like, what is for me will find me. I don't chase, I attract. Like, it's easy to say, but then you go in that moment and you're like, this is it. It's a make or break. How do you find balance mentally for yourself that way?
Yeah, so that can kind of occur too, because, whenever you're on a team and you're applying for appearances, you don't always get picked for maybe like the really cool things that you would want to be a part of. But ultimately, it's not because they didn't pick you. It's because the opportunity serves someone else better. And so,
say that again. I'm taking that away. They didn't pick you. The opportunity served someone better.
Yeah.
Okay. Or someone else better for them. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And being a part of a sisterhood and wanting to empower women, ultimately the coach or the program, everyone thought that, they were the better fit, and that's okay because there's a role for everyone on the team. You don't want 36 Jordans on the team. You want a 36 group of diverse men and women who can represent different things or go out and serve different purposes because all of ours are different. And so just reminding myself that, like maybe I didn't get picked, what's for me will always be. And, just kind of going forward with that, knowing that ultimately, like, there's a higher power who already knows my exact plan and what I'm called to do. And that's what's going to happen for me. Whether I think it's right or not, it doesn't matter. Like being firm in my faith and knowing that everything for me is going to continue to work for me.
What's next for you?
It's a really good question. So I'm actually started this because college dance has moved or is continuing to move in a recruitment style. So rather than girls trying out for different college teams, the college teams are actually recruiting the girls and offering them spots on the team.
That's new.
That's so new, but it's so cool, to be honest.
Yes. So I'm actually working as a college recruitment director to help girls who are in high school to get noticed by their different college coaches all across the country, or teaching them, how to build their resume, how to reach out to current girls on the team, how to, go to the clinics to get noticed, or there's like combines that exist, kind of like different sports might.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit tricky though, because, spots are very limited, and ultimately like in what you would consider your traditional sports, it kind of works out better for the athlete because multiple colleges can be like, okay, here's all of our cards, like, take us or don't take us. People have multiple laying in front, whereas a college, for dance, it kind of works in the benefit of the university and the college program, because at that point, they can see if someone might be interested in another school and they're like, oh, well, we don't know if we want to offer her a spot because she kind of looks like she's going to go here. So maybe we should go in the opposite direction. So it's a very new thing. I am also navigating it and trying to figure it out, but it's something that I'm super passionate about because, I did not have to get recruited, but trying out for Tech Pom was a kind of a lengthy process because, again, I didn't know anyone on the team. And so I didn't really know what I was supposed to do. So just having to do the research on the program and like knowing what to do to get into the school and then, doing all of these things. And so, again, having the opportunity to help those girls who want to go and dance or cheer in college and help them achieve their dreams so that maybe then too, one day they'll help the girl behind them or they'll go on to be an NFL cheerleader. I've been super blessed and grateful to be in this position because I feel like it's serving, again, the purpose that I'm supposed to be fulfilling in my life right now. And so having the opportunity to mentor these girls has just truly been life-changing.
So my last
Amazing.
question for you, you talked a lot about having appearances and being in the community and really diving into not just what Jordyn can contribute on the field, right, as a cheerleader. What for you has been one of those moments that filled your cup through an experience outside of cheer? Whether that's meeting a fan, going to an event, really, what's something that's filled your cup? Because I feel like you're a cup filler. You're one of those people like us where you want to give and give and give, but you got to, what fills you? What's been a moment for you where you sat back and were like, this is why. This is my why.
Yeah, so I was doing an appearance for the Houston Texans, and a platoon came home from serving a 9-month trip in Iraq. And I got to watch our troops come off the plane at one of the hangars here in Houston and be greeted by their family and their children and their moms and dads. And I mean, I ugly cried the entire time. Being a part of something like that where, it's greater than the game of football, and having the opportunity to see people, who haven't been with their family for 9 months, or were just, not only serving a greater purpose than ourselves, they're serving our country, which is truly remarkable to see. But yeah, that changed me for the better, because I'm like, these people are so thankful that, their sons, their husbands, their daughter, their wives, their sisters, like, they made it home. And so just to remind myself, like, every day, that I'm thankful that I woke up. I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head, that my family's here, like that, I have the opportunity to love others. That's just always stuck with me. And so having that opportunity just was really amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love that. And it's funny because you think about all the people's lives she's impacted.
Yeah.
And then to have something as what I would deem as very complicated but simplistic, of just being there in that moment, realizing that your life isn't defined by one moment. It's defined by a series of moments and opportunities. But to see, had you not gone through what you went through, had you not changed your path, had you not taken a step away, you might not have been there in that exact moment. And like, I think as I look at all these women we are celebrating and elevating through, like, her table, is like, it's big. All of this is bigger than just one moment with us. And that's what I think is so special, is if, some young ladies like, I want to be Jordyn. There's so much more to Jordyn. Like, I'm still stuck on this gemologist thing. Like, I'm just being honest with you.
That's so cool.
It's like low-key, like, some type of, like, crime show of, like, they're stealing diamonds, but then there's archaeological digs of Indiana Jones. Like, it's just this whole thing. It's a vibe. It's a for sure vibe. What, your next for you is just kind of changing the game. And I think that's what we're all about at Her Table, right? Is giving you the platform to do it. So if the next you is listening, what do they need to do to get to you? What do they need to do to take that step to try and, fill some pretty big shoes, ladies and gentlemen?
Definitely.
But what do they need to do to be able to get down the path you've gone? What's the next step for them?
Putting one foot in front of the other. As simple as that might sound, sometimes, it might seem overwhelming whenever you're like, oh yeah, she does X, Y, Z amount of things. But ultimately, it was just, again, being planted in where I'm at, and thankful for the opportunity as it comes, because I know that if an opportunity's for me, I'm fulfilling my purpose. And so whenever that comes, okay, I'm putting my foot down. Whenever another one comes, okay, I'm going to put the next one down. If something isn't coming in my direction, it's not supposed to be for me, because maybe it's better suited for someone else. And ultimately that'll come back around and serve me in some way. And so just continuing to take things one day at a time, be grounded in your present moment, and always remembering that everything is working for you, not against you. And yeah, just being thankful for every day that you get to wake up.
Love it.
All right, what's Taylor Swift doing for the game of football? We're
before
going back to
we
the
forget.
team. Like, production's over here like, guys, she's got to go. Like, you've taken too much of her time.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, where are we at with
fun.
this? It's honestly, it's fun for me to watch celebrities impact games in ways that might not be, you look at jersey sales are up 500% just based off who some player is dating. It's an insatiable industry. It is one that forgets their people. And so now I'm actually low key like, I hope they make it forever and live in a castle and like all of these things.
That's how I am.
That's what I
I'm
want for
Taylor
them.
Swift fan.
That might not be their path because we're all about what's for them is for them. But like the amount of pressure that then comes on, not just, you know, those two individuals that are celebrities to keep up with the Joneses, but also to continue to hone their craft, right? Like sometimes it's a distraction. Like, what is going on? Is it like a fan craze that's going to like die down? I feel like we just went through this with Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the craze of Deion Sanders and it was insatiable and he wrote it and is still writing it and impacting. But like, I feel like it's always, there's the next thing coming.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, are they like, please let the next thing come so we can just be ourselves?
I don't know.
No, I think NFL is loving
Taylor
it.
Swift, I feel like Taylor Swift continues to outdo herself. Because it's like always like she's, you know, the standard and everyone's like, how can she get even bigger than this? And then she does it. And so like that's the way that I look at it.
But it's like real, Jordyn. Like that's the thing. Sometimes I feel like it's like photo op moment of like, you know, because there are some people in the celebrity world that it's all about like the photo op of what you're seeing versus what's real. But I also like, I was saying to my friends, I'm like, she doesn't get to go have a photo op because she will be just wrung across coals if this is just a photo op. Like this, her fan base is not going to go for that. And that's just the authenticity of herself of just going through what she's gone through to now have this. But watching her pull up and like watch him in his space, but he all started in her DMs. Did you see that today? He was like, yeah, I messaged her of like, you should come see me rock out at my field or whatever it was. And like, just kind of baiting her a little bit of like, but I just went through this with Kelsey Ballerini, her and Chase Stokes. She ended up there. So it's a crazy world that we live in of how people can get connected through something we all have, but none of us are celebrities. I mean, we kind of are.
For sure.
No, just kidding. We're not. She is.
It's
She's
kind of a
on
nice switch of pace though, because I feel like most of the time, you know, the guys are like the girl is like, oh, she's dating him. But I feel like now it's like Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift.
Travis
like,
Kelce Taylor should send him like, you know, here's my little like, your jersey sales are up. So the NFL should. The NFL is probably like rolling out the carpet. Like, Taylor, you can be at any game you want. We don't care.
For sure.
Come on in. Every venue's like, let's go be more.
NFL's eating it up. It's so funny because like even like at NFL Network, it's like my boss is trying to put in like, oh, let's talk about this love story today between the Chiefs and the whoever they're playing and stuff. Like they are loving it. And so I just think it's great. I think it's sweet.
I think everybody wants to see Taylor win.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I think it's about Taylor.
And it's
I don't
growing,
think it's about Trav. I think it's about Taylor.
And I think it's
I
great.
love it. I'm obsessed with both of them. So it works for me.
She's like, I'm just going to keep tuning in.
Yeah.
Tuning in. So Taylor, shout out if you want to come on our table. We'd love to talk about what this process has been like for you. You know.
I would also like to be the third host that day.
Yeah, come along. We'll have a guest host. You just have to come out. We'll have a guest. We have plenty of space on our set. We'll bring out extra chairs.
I'll make it happen.
We'll get it. We want to know. But no, you have just been an inspiration to me. I literally am so grateful that our world is small enough that we got to meet. But at the same time, we're able to share your story and your triumphs and your success and your struggles, but also how amazing it is that you're changing what was and what is to come through your college recruitment program. And let's just be honest, to be the first generation college graduate, I mean, that's badass in itself.
It's amazing.
Your brother's like, thanks, Jordyn, level high. But you're so much more than that. And I think that is what, for me, Her Table's all about is people see your face and your picture and they don't ever get to experience or hear who you are. So if you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be as you leave us today?
Oh,
we already know she's Ariana Grande fan, so she's in it to win it with us on that one.
Let's see. I would say that I'm courageous, I'm a dreamer, and I'm a role model.
I love that. I love that for you. I can't wait to see what you do next. Don't forget about us little people over here.
Oh my gosh. I think so highly of y'all, so I'm like starstruck on this end of the screen.
But wait, listen, if you saw us before we got on, you'd be like, y'all are crazy. Crazy. But no, you have been
crazy makes it work.
Listen, listen, production's like, y'all need to. It's like that meme, don't tell us to calm down, because then we just keep going up. So it's, it's just another level. But keep doing you, keep blazing paths. I'm so proud of you, and continue to just chase your dream and be Like, honestly, just be that role model that we all need and every woman needs, because you are making a difference. That's why you're here at her table. So I want you to think about who you want to nominate to come on next, because I've already heard some names on your list of some people that have from Texas Tech. I can't wait for your coaches from Texas Tech to watch this episode and feel like they made the difference for you, because people don't always get the thank you that they need. And so I can't wait for you to be that person for them and you to share that and inspire the next you. So keep on.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
please,
thanks for
girl. This
being
is fun. We
here.
told you to make it easy. This is so like it's easy. We love it. But no, but anything.
Y'all are so inspiring.
Please. We're just here changing the world, doing nothing, drinking our water. We were drinking coffee in Celsius and they were like, y'all might need to like drink water and just chill. No, but we'd love to have you back on. But honestly, keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm proud of you. Like, this is awesome.
For sure.
You've been amazing.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Well, that was amazing having Jordyn Gruber on. It was so cool hearing her story being an NFL cheerleader and how much hard work it took to get to her position. Like, she's amazing.
I mean, cheerleading part aside, she's a gemologist. Study of gems and diamonds. I mean, people. Not only is she beautiful, not only is she athletic, but she also knows her diamonds. So you boys better get your lives together if you think you're going to come sideways to Jordyn.
That was so cool. Like, I really liked how she touched on some of her favorite moments in her life, really. I mean, when the Final Four was happening at Texas Tech and they went out and they drove to Minneapolis, I thought that was such a fun story and like, what a great memory to have.
I think it's so interesting. You know, you see beautiful young women, you see these cheerleaders and Pom Squad and all the support that really goes into helping and building an athletic department. It's not just the athletes. There's so much that goes into it. So to hear her talk about not only for herself what the moment she loved, but also her struggles. I think she was really open and vulnerable to her struggle with mental health and finding solace in herself and being confident in herself. And I think it's so relatable because there's so much that goes into having to always be on and a representation of something else. You kind of like have to turn it off sometimes and just go back to being your normal self. So that was so crazy. And then she's the first person in her family to go to college. Amazing. I mean, amazing. I know. And her little brother followed her to Texas Tech. He's like, just stop. You're doing too much right now. Let's stop this down. But it was really cool to hear her talk about how she really wants to make sure that the next her has access and opportunity to knowledge. I think that's one thing I took away from her is so much preparation goes into learning the drills, learning the skills, learning the sets for each game. It wasn't like she just shows up in her uniform. Literally, she had so much preparation went into that. That's not something that I was expecting.
You'd never know that unless you actually listen to her and hear her story. So it was such a great time having Jordyn Gruber on. If there's somebody that you would like to nominate to be on her table, please drop a comment below. Share this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen. And
if you love it, subscribe. Let us know. We love to hear from everybody, but this is a special place for us at Her Table. That's another episode. I'm Kate.
I'm Megan.
And this is Her Table.